There are some major players in the crypto community coming out of the woodwork with opposition to the proposed HIP70 migration to Solana. Most notably is Borderless Capital founder Arul Morrigan and Algorand co-founders Silvio Micali and John Woods. This will have serious implications on the results of the vote, as these players have serious amounts of HNT. Arul himself claims to be one of the largest investors, both as an individual and professional fund manager in Helium. His formal letter to Amir Helium argues that Solana was chosen as the right choice without giving an equal opportunity to other Layer 1 blockchains. It seems his suggestion would be to move Helium to Algorand, and the leading executives over there have also expressed their concerns and dismay with the Solana proposal. It's difficult to know which of these whales have already voted and which are still waiting on the sidelines to see how this plays out, but the vote is currently in favor of passing by only a 13% margin. That's not much considering we know there are institutions looking to vote against this HIP. Let's take a look at the details of this potential HIP70 hijacking in today's video. What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another video here on the Crypto Compound channel. Thank you all so much for being here. I hope you guys are having a great day. Please hit that like and subscribe on the way in. Today's video is very, very interesting. Things are really heating up here with regards to HIP70 migration to Solana proposal. There are a lot of people in the crypto world that are coming out of the woodwork and are throwing their hat in the ring or are trying to sabotage the HIP70 vote for the chance for the project that they support or their blockchain to be the one that Helium chooses to migrate to. Now, as Tushar Jain mentioned, Helium moving to another L1 blockchain is the largest migration ever by every metric like users, market cap, and daily transactions. So this is a very big deal in the crypto community, and people are taking it very, very seriously. And it looks like they're not just going to let Solana become the victor this easily. Now, if we take a quick look at the temperature check, we can see that HNT right now is right in between these two critical levels of support that we have highlighted that go back way, way far, back to February of 2021. No surprise here. There was a big dip yesterday after the CPI numbers came out, and Helium has lost a few rankings here down to rank number 71, down about 10% over the last 7 days. Now, guys, we are going to take a look at the people that are making a lot of noise here in the crypto space regarding this migration. It starts with Algorand and one of their largest investors, Borderless Capital. As we can see here, this is a quick article from CoinDesk which highlights Algorand boosters push back on Helium's proposed move to Solana. Now, this article goes on to reference a few things. Most notably here is from Algorand. We can see Algorand's Silvio Micali and Algorand's John Woods here. John Woods tweeted 2 days ago, Helium needs a secure, robust, and scalable chain. Algorand meets those requirements. We are ready to talk to the Helium team. So not only are they addressing that they want to get involved and start communications with Helium regarding this migration, but they're also taking a sideways shot here at Solana, indirectly claiming that they are not secure, robust, or scalable enough for Helium. Now, on top of that, Silvio Micali, who is the founder of Algorand, says Helium Community, Helium Foundation, and Amir Helium. Algorand is ready to support Helium with our secure, scalable, and truly decentralized blockchain and help you with the migration. Really, really interesting to see them be so direct with Helium here. And also, I've never seen any of these guys say anything about Helium, which is very interesting. It almost makes me think that they might just be doing this to get some publicity as an L1, as they are smaller than Solana. So this is good publicity for them, but we will see if they put their money where their mouth is and do vote for HIP70 against this migration. Now, even more importantly than the Algorand guys is this Borderless Capital thread here. Now, Arul Morrigan is the chairman and founding partner at Borderless Cap. and this is what they had to say. We have received numerous inquiries from founders and stakeholders across our industry who are interested in supporting the Helium team in their proposed HIP70 about the migration of its blockchain to a new L1 and want to help ensure the best possible outcome. Now, this is very interesting and holds a lot of weight because Borderless Capital is a major crypto fund, and they have heavily invested in Helium over time. This means I'm sure they have some sort of stake in Nova Labs, but I am sure they also hold a lot of HNT. They would definitely be considered an HNT whale, and they can certainly move the needle here on this vote. As we can see right now, it is only in favor of passing HIP70 at 79%. And if we scroll up here, we have to remember that it needs above 66% vote power to be passed. That means if this is 65%, this will not pass, and it will ultimately lead against HIP70. Now, there's no telling who has voted, who hasn't voted, but we know that these big venture capitalist firms like Multicoin Capital, A16Z, and now Borderless Capital are certainly going to be putting their HNT power to work on one of these sides. Now, it's also very important to realize that Multicoin Capital has a huge interest in both Solana and Helium. So it is very easy to come to the conclusion that this was definitely pushed for from the Multicoin people, including Tushar, to select Solana as the L1 without doing full due diligence on other options, because this is almost like a marriage between two of their very large holdings. And of course, I would be very disappointed if that is true. That would be very unethical. He's shameful! But it is hard to not make that connection. This is probably the closest that a HIP vote has been since the original test vote for the favorite ice cream flavor. And again, we have to remember Borderless Capital is the one that is making the noise right now. And we're going to go through this thread and Arul's direct letter to Amir Helium in just a second. But we have to remember that it doesn't matter who these people are. What really matters is the amount of HNT they have and the direction of their vote.
It doesn't matter who we are. What matters is our plan.
That is how the system works. It is very transparent that it doesn't matter the number of voters. What matters is the number of HNT and the vote power of each wallet. Now, guys, before we jump into the formal letter that Arul sent to Amir, I do want to touch on the original rebuttal that the Helium developers said when they proposed this HIP. If we go over here, we can see that Hashcode addresses some of the concern about going directly to Solana and not considering other blockchains. As you can see here, he says, "I'm certain I'm going to continue to get trolled here immediately, but the list of chains considered was as wide as Solana, Ethereum, Atom, Aptos, Matic, AVAC, DOT, Aglo, etc. Different levels of diligence done on each." He goes on to say some of the reasons why they chose to go against those and went with Solana. This is an interesting list. Some of this applies directly to some cryptos and not others, but this was their original rebuttal as to why they didn't go with any of the others, and they do say that there was different levels of diligence done on each. Now, this was a few days before all of this drama started happening with Algorand and Borderless Capital. Now, guys, if we jump over here to the letter to Helium, to Amir, to a few other people that he mentions up here, this is the letter, and it is really interesting. He first starts by mentioning the critical importance of HIP70 and this movement of the Helium blockchain to a different L1. He also agrees that Helium cannot maintain and operate its own layer 1 blockchain. I guess that's after seeing what has been going on over the past few years and the development on that chain and the complexity of it. He immediately starts by saying Nova Labs core developers picked Solana as the right choice without giving an equal opportunity for many of the other layer 1 blockchains to propose their solution. The core developers neither published any kind of detailed supporting analysis of the decision with pros and cons. Now, that is true. The best we got was here from Hashcode, which is this bullet point list of pretty general things that they were looking for or were dissatisfied with in other cryptos. And he makes a fair point point here by saying it is impossible for the community, third-party developers, staking providers, and other users to understand the pros and cons of moving to Solana without such detailed analysis and transparency. Now, guys, as I imagine it, I can see that the people reading this from Helium must be taking this pretty seriously. This is coming from a very big player in the crypto space, and this is just the beginning. He gets pretty specific down below, even mentioning the price of HNT going below $5 after the introduction of HIP70.
Oh no.
This is really interesting stuff, and I imagine they were pretty concerned reading through this. As you can see, he mentions multiple conversations with the below individuals and groups over the last several days. These include people that are very close to the Helium community, Helium ecosystem, Nova Labs, all of those sorts of things. And interestingly enough, co-founders and core developers of Algorand, Polygon, Moonbeat, and Polkadot. Very interesting, because now we know that these people are all talking, and these people are the whales with the money, or if they're not, their backers are the ones with all that HNT, and they can sway the vote however they want. Now, you have to imagine, if you are running a venture fund in the crypto space, you want your crypto to be the one that holds the trophy for the largest migration of its kind of one blockchain to yours. So this is going to be taken very seriously by a lot of these funds and a lot of these layer 1 blockchains. Now, he here opens the door, which is very reasonable, and he says most of them believe that we need to have a more decentralized approach to these oracles and should give a chance for other layer 1 blockchains to present solutions to address this. Now, this is very fair for him to say, because it's hard for someone who wants the best for Helium to say that that is not true. If you want the best for Helium, irregardless of what the actual layer 1 blockchain is, you would of course be open for different projects, different blockchains to propose solutions to your problem. So this is a very interesting tactic for Arul here to use, because anyone who wants what's best for Helium cannot disagree with opening it up and inviting people to propose solutions for Helium's problems. Now, he references a debate here with Cosmos and Multicoin Capital. Very, very interesting stuff, very technical, but he clearly has done his research here and knows what is going on with regards to alternatives and other options for Helium. Now, his solution here is Helium Foundation should come out with their top 2 picks of layer 1 blockchains with pros and cons and submit a vote by the community with full transparency. The voting should not happen until the foundation has a clear path to decentralizing the oracles, proof of coverage, and data transfers. Now, he also validates himself down here in the PS section, saying, PS, Arul's investment in the Helium ecosystem as a builder, investor, and supporter, and they list founding board member of the Helium Foundation, one of the largest miners, builders of the People's Network since its inception in 2019, and one of the largest investors, both as an individual and as a professional fund manager running the Helium ecosystem fund at Borderless. This is some really high level stuff that is going on here, and it is all here on the interwebs for us to watch. This is really, really interesting, and as I mentioned, I am going to expect these numbers to continuously move, especially when big whales, big institutions, big funds, and big names start getting involved here. Now, there is about a week left of this, so there's a long, long way to go. But guys, this is by no means should be considered a lock, and we should not consider HIP70 passed until this is closed. Now, guys, lastly, I do want to reference this back and forth here with the always intelligent Arman and this Twitter profile here. And they're essentially asking for Algorand to be considered. Arman responds and says, Algorand hasn't had the privilege of persistent demand high enough to potentially cause an outage. Until that happens, any claims about uptime are theoretical. By the way, I think Algorand's tech is great overall, just doesn't have a big ecosystem yet. So very well written, well said response here from Arman, which is also very fair. Solana has a lot more traffic, so it is under a lot more stress. Algorand hasn't had that privilege just yet. And somebody responds here with a 15 million NFT transaction number over the span of 3 days without going down. And Arman breaks that down and says that's only about 58 transactions per second on average over 3 days. Solana has a persistent 500 real transaction per second on a persistent basis and peaks over 10,000. So this is just a very interesting back and forth here with regards to why Solana might be more advantageous than Algorand. But guys, the main point here is there are big players trying to sabotage or manipulate this vote in a way where they can come out victorious, and it is going to be very interesting to see how that plays out over the next week. Guys, thank you for being here. Leave your comments and questions down below. Thank you for watching until the end, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. But just like that, this video is over, and I will see you next time.